we have a podcast. It's called Politics by Faith. And one of the themes of the podcast is, as our last guest said, there's nothing new under the sun. It's true. This is Elon Musk, founder of Neuralink, among others, and Joe Rogan. And they're talking about how computer chips in your brains, what's next for human beings. And they're using language, they're using biblical language and themes. They don't even know it. Here.
If you taught a child from first grade on how to use some new universal language, I mean, essentially like a Rosetta Stone, and something that's done that interprets your thoughts, and you can convey your thoughts with no room for interpretation, with very clear, where you know what a person's saying, and you can tell them what you're saying, and there's no need for noises, no need for mouth noises, no need for these sort of accepted ways that we've sort of evolved to make sounds that we all agree. We through our cultural dictionary, and we agree, or certain we could bypass all that.
Yeah, we can still do it for
fun,
sentimental reasons,
right? Like campfires.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need campfires. You don't need to roast marshmallows. It's kind of fun,
right?
We won't need language. We won't need to talk to people. I mean, right now, if you go to Japan, you can use your phone, say, "Hey, where's the bathroom?" and then it'll translate it into Japanese, and you can show it to the person, right? But eventually, you won't even need to talk. You won't need to say it out loud. You just say it to the person through your brain, through the Neuralink. You wouldn't even need to talk. You wouldn't even need to ask someone because you would just know where the bathrooms are. It just goes, right? So you wouldn't need any human interaction. One language, the same language, and no human interaction necessary. Everything you would need to know is on the internet, connected to you constantly. Keep in mind also, if you're connected to the internet, then the internet's connected to you. And it will tell you what to think about everything. Also, this chip that is connected to your brain, it changes the electric impulses in your brain. It also changes the hormones in your body. So the government or whoever wants everyone to be a little bit happier, a little bit more positive attitude, a little better morale, a little bit more compliant. Just give everyone a little dopamine boost. Why not? It's perfectly dystopian. Why ever move? Just live in a little box of fluid. You can connect to the metaverse with AI, live like you're in the Matrix. Okay. The biblical points. Universal language that Elon and Joe were just talking about, that's Tower of Babel to a T. Genesis 11, it's after the flood. Genesis 11:1. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. So they had perfect unity. The problem was they were unified in their pride and wickedness, and there was no one around to stop them. One reason Hitler was stopped, for instance, is because there was an America. There was a force to stop him. But if we were all under the same wicked, evil leader, there would be no one to stop it. And if there is, one day there will be one globalist world hoarder with one leader and government power, there's no way to stop that corruption. And that's what the globalists want. World unity is a curse. In the time of the Tower of Babel, the leader was Nimrod, means rebel. And in the Bible it says he's a mighty hunter. But the word actually means warrior, because he was a hunter of people, is what that means. He was a mass murderer. And no one was around to check his power. All the people were unified. So be very skeptical of the people who want one world government, one ruling power, and even one language, like our friend Elon Musk. So they in Babel were in complete unity. And then they said, come, let us. Some famous words in the Bible, come, let us. In their pride and ambition and wickedness, come, let us insert microchips into people's brains. Come, let us have ChatGPT that just does all the thinking for us. Come, let us come up with transhumanist lives. Why not? Come, let us build for ourselves a city and a tower whose top will reach the heaven, and let us make a name for ourselves. So what we have there in the Bible is a social goal. That's the city. We're going to make a city, a social goal. A religious goal, a tower to heaven. And a psychological goal. We're going to make a name for ourselves. A city, a tower, a name. Social goal, religious goal, psychological goal. How are they going to do it? Why, of course, with new technology. What new technology? Bricks. That's technology. Everything was invented at one point. Like the alphabet was invented. Things were invented. Everything's been invented. Bricks were invented. They used to build things out of stones, something that God just gave them. They were just there. But there were no stones where they were in Babel. So they invented bricks. Verse 3, it's 11 verse 3. Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had bricks for stone and bitumen for mortar. Ancient Jewish teaching says that if someone fell from a building of the tower that they were building, they would not mourn the loss of life. But if someone dropped a brick, they would mourn the loss of the brick. That was their level of devotion to the new technology. They valued it more than human life. Technology was valued more than people. So they used a new technology to organize the people and worship themselves, make a name for themselves. And God stopped them and said, behold, they are one people, and they all have one language, Joe Rogan. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they may not understand one another's speech. And that's when God scattered people all over the earth and created different languages. Stopped the building of the tower, to say the least. Elon wants to undo that with artificial intelligence and Neuralink. Undo it, where we all speak the same computer language and we're all connected to the same matrix, dare I say, with one ruler, one leader, certainly godless. Why? So that we can make a name for ourselves. One final point. Godless people, these godless people believe in evolution. They think we're just a collection of electric currents in the brain, chemical reactions. That's it. They truly believe that's what we are. Elon talks about, he calls it save state. S-A-V-E, save state. And the idea is that you die, but you can use artificial intelligence to continue on in this pseudo-consciousness. And you can be put into a new biological being and live forever and never even know the difference. You never even know that you died. And no one else would even know you died because they could still communicate with this AI version of you, this algorithm made up of you. So you lived your life and there's enough data there so that the AI would know how you would respond or react to things forever in the future. And you wouldn't even know the difference and no one else would know the difference as well. Pretty amazing. Pretty horrific. And Rogan's like, hey, that's a little disconcerting to think that you could just be a brain in a vat of fluid and not know what's real or not. And Elon said, you're already a brain in a vat of fluid. That's who these godless people think you are. That's how these godless people view human beings. I often think of a conversation we had years ago on this show with a world famous psychologist. His name's Roy Baumeister. And I asked him what the bombardment, he has a book called The Power of Bad. And I said, what does this bombardment of bad news do to the human soul? I'll never forget it. And he said, well, social psychologists don't like to talk about the soul, but I can tell you what it does to the brain. And it's like, listen, that's kind of interesting, but it's way more interesting to know what it does to the soul. No one talks about the soul anymore. I beg of you, if you get nothing else from this special, feed your soul. AI is not a soul. It has no soul. It can never recreate the soul. Everything made by AI is missing something. It's missing a soul behind it. Do not lose your sensitivity to that. The soul is essential. The soul is everything. Do not ignore it. I was talking to Oliver Lane the other day. He's the Breitbart London correspondent. Because on his Twitter, he has a lot of stuff about art and architecture. And I asked him why he cares so much. Why do you care so much about art and beauty? Here's what he said.
Well, what you and I do day to day at work is intellectual essentially. It's politics of the brain. But when it comes to aesthetics and architecture, that speaks to the soul. And you cannot win one without the other. To save civilization, we have to have both. So that's where I express that.
Can't have one without the other. Can't win one without the other. Be very wary of the people saying, come, let us make artificial intelligence and feed your soul. It's the most important thing. It's the most neglected thing. And it's the thing they want more than anything. As Solomon said, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. That was from our special Age of AI. We talk about ChatGPT and what that means for our future. Do you know all about ChatGPT? The more I think about it, the more to a dystopian place I go real fast. We also have a podcast. It's called Politics by Faith. And one of the themes of the podcast is there's nothing new under the sun. And you think, well, artificial intelligence, that's pretty new, Slater. It's really not. It's all been done before. How can that be? That's what we break down in the podcast. Because when you know something's been done before, and you get that historical perspective with some biblical peace, all that anxiety washes right away. And it's a wonderful thing. Please download that podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, called Politics by Faith. We'll see you there.